everybody. My name is Daishi, and I have been practicing with the village Zendo for a while, many years as a native New Yorker, and then from other places. Most recently, I'm in Boston, so much closer than I have been, actually in many, many years. And through all those years, this session has been a refrain with other ways of practicing with you all. But somehow the causes and conditions often align, sometimes with some effort, but to be here for the winter session. So it's a very precious time for me. So I've been carrying an image with me this session that comes from Richard Serra, who's an American sculptor that many of you may know. He creates these massive weathered steel sculptures, sometimes 50 or 60 feet high, weighing hundreds of tons. And they have a beautiful color quite often, this rusted golden brown of our teachers' robes, kind of very heavy and flowing at the same time. And Sarah wrote an essay in which he spoke about one of his earliest childhood memories, and how the wonder and the awe of that moment informed his entire life's work. He passed away recently. And he talked about going to a shipyard in Northern California where his father worked to watch a giant tanker. If you can imagine for a moment a football field's worth of steel being released into the sea. And he discussed just this immense effort, the noise, the scraping and banging required to prepare the tanker for departure, to release it into the sea. The sound of steel smashing into the churning waters, the visual of it rolling dramatically about, taking on water, and then finally settling into its paradox, immense weight floating effortlessly. And this has stayed with me as an image of practice. And I remembered this image as I listened to Shinryu share the rich life and death of our Sangha member Jokai, about his many lives, as well as the discipline and continuous commitment he made to die actively and awake. And as I listened, I remembered this story from Sarah and felt something like a tanker being freed, and I felt splashed by his life. And I felt another vessel push off to sea when Joran spoke yesterday about Enkyo Roshi's decision to leave NYU and plunge full-time into the Dharma to create a very special boat that we are on right now, stewarding. And then there's us. We've built something large together. We set this session ship into motion, and now we're in the middle of the voyage. It's day 3, old timers and new timers, those staying for the whole retreat and those who are departing today. And both Shinryu and Jorin took time in their talks to offer appreciation to those who are newer to this practice, to Sesshin, for your wholehearted showing up, for your beginner's mind, and for your contribution to steering this boat, which is very much your boat. And I want to thank you as well for that flavor of bravery. And I also want to add my appreciation to the old timers, to those who have been practicing sailing sessions for 20, 30, 40, or more years. I have really felt humbled and inspired on this session by your long, continuous, ever-changing commitment, because there really wouldn't be a vessel like this, a dock with so much integrity, without your practice. So it feels like a good moment to deepen and stay awake. Change is arising again in the midst of Zenki, undivided activity. Some of us will remain here for the remainder of Sesshin, and some of us will soon venture on. So where did we go? Whether you are staying or going, did we arrive right now where you wanted to be? I think most of us don't step into practice onto this boat just to float about. Even as we agree to ride, something in us wants the boat to go somewhere, or to take us away from something. We may say we're here to just sit, to be with things as they are, but quietly, or not so quietly. Many of us are also hoping this boat will deliver us out of anger, out of pain, out of this sense that we are stuck just outside a window of freedom. And Sesshin, I think, makes this tension very clear. On the one hand, we are asked to trust the ride, to let the boat carry us moment by moment. And on the other hand, we bring aboard our longing for arrival, for resolution, for a shore where something difficult is finally behind us. And it's right here, between floating and arriving, between being carried and wanting escape, in the midst of birth and death, that Zen practice offers so much and can feel so challenging. Maybe the challenge is something as simple and real as the sentiment that Shui Tao shared with us via Shuso's letter. I've lingered on my pillow, led around by thoughts that keep me sad and up awake all night. We want to sleep at night. We would like sadness to lift. We want the anger to cool and for the fear to just stop chasing us. There is this persistent sense of being almost free. Like most of us is through the window, but one limb remains stuck. And let me say that these hopes are not wrong. They are human, and they bring us to practice. And yet, it can be disappointing to realize that Zen practice is not fundamentally oriented toward fixing symptoms or eliminating discomforts. And I think this can feel confusing because many of our teachings seem to promise something else entirely. Just to give one or two examples, every morning we chant the Heart Sutra, which says in part that Prajnaparamita, the great wisdom, completely clears all pain. This is the truth, not a lie. The Song Jewel of Awareness says its use resolves all pain. So how is it that we are never separated from undivided activity, and yet we experience separation so vividly, so relentlessly? What kind of freedom is this that we practice? I think the invitation is to explore a new relationship to the world of samsara, the myriad objects of suffering and joy, as not separate from our awake, beautiful, wild life, or as Dogen describes in Zenki, from our emancipation. What changes isn't the object of suffering, but our intimacy with it. And I'd like to share a koan that I think explores some of these tensions. Case 38 of the Mumonkan, the Gateless Gate. Wuzu Fayan said, "It's like a water buffalo that passes through a window. Its head, horns, and 4 legs all pass through. Why can't the tail pass through?" Shui Tao's sleeplessness becomes a tail. I miss my boys.
just holding these soft little hands like it's an ordinary thing to do. But for you, what's your tail that can't pass through? The habit, the compulsion that just won't pass through the window. Now, the temptation is we want the tail going. Or we want it through the window, this gate, this ideal, a mirage that we've created. But the koan refuses that fantasy. The verse of this koan reads, "If it passes through, it will fall into a ditch. If it turns back, it will be destroyed." This tiny little tail, what a strange and marvelous thing it is. This tiny little tail, what a strange and marvelous thing it is. Practice is how we meet this strange and marvelous tale. Not turning away, not grasping or manipulation, but with simplicity and intimacy. An intimacy, I think, that doesn't resolve. So the tale may be insomnia, anger, the ache of departure, or of staying. But the tale is not a mistake. It is the field of practice, and it is not separate from undivided activity. This tanker doesn't become buoyant by getting lighter. It floats by entering fully into the water that holds it. Perhaps our practice is like that, not fixing the weight of our lives, but discovering what can carry it. So whether you are staying on this boat for a few more days or stepping off shortly, may you continue to meet your own strange and marvelous tale with patience and care, trusting that nothing about this moment is outside undivided activity.